Ow. Piece of shit. Welcome to Radical Underdogs. This time we're going to add some speed to the MX-5. We're taking the cylinder head off and getting that refurbished. I've had the same engine for about 4 years. We're going to take it over to one of the race teams. It's something I could maybe do myself, but it's not something I really want to do twice. So why am I doing this? Well, I did a compression test, and actually the cylinders were about 170, 180, all within 10 psi of each other, so no engine damage as such. But people at the front are often running over 200 psi in the compression ratio, and I did a leak down test as well. Again, nothing bad for a road car, sort of 10, 15, 16%, something like that. Again, measurement errors is me doing it. And in the leak down test, those leaks were coming from the exhaust side, so the exhaust valves probably need to be looked at. If this was just a track day car, it'd probably be fine. But because it is a race car, those sort of single horsepower differences do make a difference, especially on long straights like Silverstone. And as we've seen, there's certainly a lot to improve in the driving. So if I can mask some of that poor driving with some more power, even better. I've left myself with hardly any time to do this. I'm going to have to do it in the evenings after work this week. So I'm going to be doing most of this on time lapse. I've left a link in the video description to a tutorial that really helped me out. So this is not a tutorial. If you want to see a tutorial, go there. Anyway, that's enough. Let's get into it.
I'll do my best to talk through some of the stuff I'm doing here. First of all, I'm taking the coolant out of the radiator. I've got a fancy aftermarket radiator, which by the way is brilliant. I've never had any overheating issues, even on really hot days. It's kept the car nice and cool. I'd run without a thermostat, although I might put a thermostat back in after all this. I'm not really sure how much benefit running without the thermostat gives.
Ow.
Ouch.
Piece of shit.
Anyway, I'm taking the radiator out. Don't strictly have to do that. It does give you loads more space to work with. Although once I unbolted it, I'd realised actually the air intake's kind of in the way as well. So that's coming off anyway. So I'll take that off at the time, this time now, and then I'll take the radiator out. Here it comes. There it is. The radiator is out. So loads more space to work with at the front of the car. Just having a look at what I need to do. The belt needs to come off that drives the water pump alternator, and it runs around the bottom gear at the bottom as well. So taking the bolts out of the water pump pulley before you, well, not all the way out, just loosening them before otherwise it'll just spin around and not be able to be taken out. Now just taking the coil pack out. The spark plugs I think I've already taken out, or maybe I'm about to take them out. Anyway, that's the coil pack gone. Undoing a few hoses. There you go, that's the spark plugs coming out. There you go, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm taking off the valve cover next in a nice pattern so I don't ruin everything. Covers coming off the timing belt as well, so it's all progressing quite nicely at the moment. I'm doing this, I'm moving the engine to top dead centre as well. I realised it was still in gear, so the car running me over as I was trying to move the engine forward. Anyway, so moving it to top dead centre. I don't strictly speaking need to do this either since the whole head is coming off, but I thought I'd just give it a bit of practice. I've got this locking tool that I bought quite a long time ago, never used it before. To be honest, I'm not really sure I did it properly either, so I kind of figured it out, put it in, took the belt off, but then I think one of the cams, the one on the left or the one on the left as you're looking at it, moved a bit anyway, even with the locking tool on, so I didn't do very much locking. So you can see here I was just playing around with the belt just in case I was, need to do a timing belt job in the future. It's good to know kind of what's involved, although of course I haven't taken one of the hardest bits of that job, the bolt out of the bottom. Yeah, I do have a new timing belt. I'm going to put a new timing belt on anyway. Anyway, back to pass wheel to do some explaining. And we're getting quite close to taking this head off. I actually don't really need to lock the timing because the whole head's coming off. I'm going to take the intake off with the head. I think that's just going to be easier to get to all the bolts. The fuel lines are disconnected. I need to disconnect a few extra hoses and the throttle cable. And I need to take the exhaust manifold off. And then I need to undo the head bolts in reverse order in a couple of stages, and then the head can come off. Just a few more steps. As Pass Will said, only a few more steps to go actually. So taking off the throttle cable there that links the throttle body to the throttle pedal, taking a few more hoses off. There's a coolant hose that goes around the back that I need to take off. In a normal road car that would be attached to the heater matrix, but there's no heater matrix in this. That's weight saving for you. getting really close now. I'm just going to get the book out. It's the one time I do get the book out to make sure I do this in the right order. Don't want to warp the head.
The cylinder head bolt loosening sequence is the opposite to the tightening sequence, and this is so it's outer in, and in two stages. So I'm going to be, I'll do quarter turn, it's going to be easier. Two. Three over here. Four here. Five here.
Pretty sure it's important to do this in order. The head bolts themselves, though, I don't think in a Mazda are stretch bolts. So you can, if you're feeling brave, reuse them. I'm not feeling brave, so I have ordered another set of head bolts to go back in the car when the head arrives back. Anyway, back to past Will to explain what happens next.
Okay, everything should now be disconnected. There you go. It's heavy. How much of an effort is this going to be to remove? Quite a lot of effort. That is for another time. At least the water pump now is very much accessible. I can do that as well whilst we're here. It's time to separate the intake from the exhaust. The exhaust, look at that. Is that the gasket separating? Or is that two gaskets? How many gaskets do you want on this thing? Is that two? Looks like two. Not done an exhaust gasket before on this.
Okay, taking the bolts out of the intake is always a bit of a palaver. Difficult to do when it's on the car. When it's off the car, much easier.
These different lengths. Yes. Okay, that's going to be a pain, isn't it?
The answer, by the way, is that they shouldn't be different lengths. They should all be the same, I think, with some studs.
Broken stud. Okay, well that's something else to get fixed. So the cylinder head is more or less off. I'm going to take this to get refurbished. Just having a look inside here. This is the exhaust side, which does look pretty coked up. There's definitely some oil leaking there, isn't there? Between down some of these valve stem seals. This one looks pretty bad. Okay, this morning we're going off to Mike Comber Racing to get this head refurbished. It's going to be done over the Christmas period and it'll go back together in the car after Christmas. Let's go over to Leicester and drop this off. Here we are at Mike Comber Racing. Just going to take the head out. Okay, that'll be ready in early January. In the meantime, let's go home and sort out the rest of the car.